Bobby to come on here for probably the most useless live stream that you'll ever see. I'll probably hang out here till about 6:45, basically just waiting. Talk about the slate, whatever, but we're just waiting on news. We could talk about how we're going to apply it when we get it, but quite honestly, when Bobby gets here, we'll go over what we're waiting on. Some of the news we're not going to get until we leave. So if you do want to play the NBA tonight, make sure that you're around at some point between the starts of the first games and the beginning of the 10 o'clock games. Because we have Jokic legit questionable, we have Luka legit questionable, and you all know that when those guys are out, a lot of the other guys pick up the usage, and when those guys are in, then those guys do not pick up the usage. So it's just a pretty binary decision with respect to the reserves on both those teams. And unfortunately, you have to make some decisions on the early games before you get the news on the late games. So you have to decide. Well, you have to decide whether you do want to make those decisions or not. I mean, if you want to eschew some of the early values, and that's fine. But just make sure that you can, that you're satisfied with your lineups later if you don't get the news that you want, So just gonna wait for Bobby just a couple more minutes before I get rolling here. And we did just hear that my Discord. See anything else that came across here? I'm actually waiting on a couple of things. One of them being the Detroit starters. I want to see who's starting at the 5 for the Pistons. If they're going to start, Garza or Trey Lyles, because I really think you're supposed to play them. I talked about it earlier, and nobody's really talking about them all that much. Basically saying that Detroit can go small if they want, but I don't know if that's the case. I don't think they can get away with it. Well, here's Bobby. Excuse me. What's up, Bobby?
What's up? Are you living over there? You're alive?
Yeah. Oh, and other stuff going on?
No, I just meant you because you sounded good this morning, but I could hear the cough when I came on. I just want to make sure you're good.
Yeah. So what I was just saying is that welcome to the most useless 45-minute show probably in the NBA. I'm just basically waiting on news. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, here's what I think I'm waiting on, right? So we just got the news about the Knicks. Waiting for those projections to update, and I'll get those rolling in about 20 minutes. We got the news that Bam is playing, so that's something. And immediately, what I'm waiting on is Detroit starters to see who's starting from the Detroit game. So that's what I'm waiting on currently. And then we're waiting on stuff that we're not going to have until after the first game starts. So we have to make a decision on what we want to do about that. Not guarantee, but there's just no way we're going to know about Jokic and or Luka before lock. I'm hoping that we learn about Anthony Davis before 7 o'clock. That would be nice.
Yep.
And aside from that, I mean, what do you want to talk about? What are you thinking?
Well, okay, so let's talk about it because there's even a much bigger thing that is entered the speculation, which the Clippers had to cut their practice short today.
Really?
And there are rumors, but that's what's going to happen. There's always going to be rumors about potential COVID stuff.
Oh.
So it's a very dangerous slate, which actually probably leaves a lot of room to try to outthink people before the games and maybe make some money on some tournaments. But I wouldn't recommend getting overly invested in this slate just because it is a little bit volatile.
Wait. Excuse me. DFS Wolfpack. That's hurtful. He's saying Melo back in the Garden for the last time.
Melo can get a job for the next 6 years, probably.
Excuse me. What about the NBA Finals? Well, what about Knicks Lakers in the finals? They don't play at the Garden like at least 3 of the games. I don't know. I mean, like maybe you'll have like several more games at the Garden. But that's good info. Actually, I was unaware that this is actually. I forgot about that. This could be his last time in the Garden. You know, he's
I
going to
don't.
be.
I don't think it'll be his last time in the Garden, but I think it's equally still like, I mean, especially with the Anthony Davis just question mark. I mean, then it's like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, but you know what? But Carmelo's the type of guy who's going to come in.
Anthony Davis remains questionable. Will be a game time decision. Yikes.
No, Carmelo's going to listen. Carmelo, I know Carmelo. He's going to come in. He's going to be a nice team player. He's going to just get everybody involved. He's going to he's going to bow, say, wave to the Knicks fans, and just show them what team ball is kind of all about. Especially if Anthony Davis is not in the game. So I don't think he's going to be a particularly good play. Now, why don't you talk to me a little more about this Clipper thing, because I'm now intrigued.
This is it's a really speculative situation, like, and it's interesting because what happens, let's just say, so the general things that we've gotten from the sites is they've refunded the money on games where they don't play. That's number one. Will they do that tonight? Because they've done it so many times. You know, it is the giving time of year. You'd think that they would do it, but it does worry me a little bit.
They've given a lot, though.
Yeah, and by the way, it's kind of appropriate to give a lot. Why not? You should, customer loyalty. If you're going to have games canceled and things like that, you should refund. But I don't know if they're going to keep letting people free roll in these situations. I'm just thinking out loud here. But my natural thought is that more than likely, even if some COVID showed up there, that I think they'll be able to field a team.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, it just sort of lends itself to the earlier thought. Now, it's a little unfortunate because I like a lot of guys in these earlier games, and I'll get to some of the guys I really like. But I do think backloading is the optimal strategy, because if you lose Luka, and by the way, I think Luka's more likely to play now than I thought this morning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because he did go through some practices with them. It is the team that beat them in the playoffs back-to-back years. They're he'd have a break if he took the extra game, but maybe they actually really want to get this one. They're 9-7. They're fine, but at the same time, any game you can win in the West against another team you're going to be fighting for playoff positioning with is probably a good thing, especially the team that's knocked you out 2 years in a row. So it remains, it's a TBD situation. But I mean, you could do certain things before those last games. Like if Luka ends up look like he's in before 7 p.m., you can do the swaps from Jalen Brunson to Will Barton.
Right.
That's the kind of switches you're looking at. But if those guys are out, that's just so much usage to go around for everyone else. Where Tim Hardaway would be an afterthought on this slate. And by the way, he could still get there if Luka plays. But where he'd be an afterthought if Luka plays, if Luka doesn't play, he'd be an afterthought. If he doesn't play, he's a terrific play, and he should be 40% owned. So it's just a lot of stuff, or maybe not 40, but 30+% owned, whatever. KP, obviously a better play without Luka. Oddly enough, the one guy who I like for value that you can use down there, I don't think it really matters whether Luka plays or not, is Maxi Kleber. And that's sort of like a long shot value for that game. But going to the early games, the guys who you feel like you need to play, I don't need to play anybody on Miami. They're all fine. Jimmy Butler's fine. I think I would rather buy my time, It's a good matchup, as we've mentioned a number of times with Bam. And this is assuming that, nobody else gets announced out. PJ Tucker is actually going to play minutes, but we have other guys who are cheap that I think are more interesting, including some guys on the other side, which are Corey Joseph and Hamidou Diallo. And then my long shot weird Josh Jackson play. We'd like the starting lineup, obviously, and see if Trey Lyles enters that conversation or not. I would say if Lyles starts, you're interested. We'd have major interest. If Lyles doesn't start, not especially interested. But I'm not especially interested in Garza if he starts. So I would have interested in Lyles if he starts. Probably not Garza for me, just based on the fact that it's the first game. If it was later, I would probably take some shots and then just adjust, according.
So I poked around a little bit, and this is what I got from the Twitter. It said saying the game tonight between the Clippers and Mavs is still on course to be played at this time. This is from 4 hours ago. It says the canceling of today's shoot-around was precautionary.
It's just as alarming as what I was saying,
Yeah.
And Detroit has a lot of, so just to get through the early ones, because that's the first thing we got to worry about. I have it ranked Joseph in terms of my level of interest from the first game, guys. Joseph, which feels really weird to be saying that, but he's a safer, cashy type of play. I think Diallo at lower ownership is really interesting. I think that Josh Jackson is the one who no one will play, and we all know what Josh Jackson can do in these situations. Like,
bust his chalk.
But he's not chalk. He's going to be one. I know. That means he's going to make us all the money.
Wait, I just see a Jokic out. Is that possible? Hold
on. Let's see. Wait, I just got a message. Nope, I don't have that. So did somebody post that?
Someone's just posting it in the Discord here. Let me just see if that's actual. This guy will get credit for being first if he's right. Just in one of the other Discords, I'm seeing somebody's posting.
I need to get more confirmation on the Jokic thing. Maybe
obviously.
Yeah.
Let's just see. Yeah, someone's questioning a source, and let's just see. I'll let you know if I get it.
So there's a number of plays in the first game to consider that are all fine, but the guys who aren't fine, I'm okay passing, except for the guys with the ceilings. I think Diallo qualifies as a value that we could still probably use. I think Corey Joseph certainly qualifies as a value we could use. And I really look, you're not going to stop hearing me say Cade Cunningham's name all year long. It's even once he's 8K, I'm going to be playing him sometimes. This is a guy who he's so outrageously good for where he is. And he can do everything. He's going to rebound for you. He's going to get assists for you. He'll get steals and blocks, and he'll score. And by the way, if he ever really starts getting his offensive game together, he'll start scoring 30 in a game. So he's a guy who could put up like 60. So those are the guys who I'm looking at from the first game. And unfortunately, it's a bad matchup for all these guys. So do with it what you will. But
by the way, quick, that was apparently fake news.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. But that's step one is the Detroit game. The Laker game with Davis, man, this is getting to be weirder and weirder. The guy who's really hard to keep out of your lineups for me is THT. Either way, I think he's a good play with Davis playing. He is. I don't like using the word must play, but he's closest to a must play I could find on this slate without Davis. I also think I would speculate after the first game, if you're not going to play Butler or whatever those guys are, I'm just going to play Westbrook. Honestly, I like Westbrook even if Davis does play tonight. I think that so who's going to guard him? Okay. Who's going to stay in front of him? It's not going to be quickly Kemba Walker, Alec Burks. These guys, it's not going to work. Just not going to work. He's going to I'd likely to have a triple double here. I think he's got a chance of being the highest scoring player on the slate. And I think that he versus like a lower priced Lillard is interesting. And then I love the Carmelo play. I think the Carmelo thing is really sharp, and it's a guy who's going to end up being like 30% owned if there's no Davis. But if Davis plays, I don't think you're going to get ownership on Melo. So THT followed by Westbrook and Melo is the way I've got the Lakers graded. For the Knicks, I have Burks as the number one beneficiary without Rose. And I have the other ones are all interesting to me because I think RJ Barrett's really interesting, but I think Quickly is the guy I might want to side with. And then I'm going to go, no matter what, I'm going to play Kemba. So I'm going to be mixing those guys, mixing and matching. I also have some interest in stacking this game and playing Randall, especially on FanDuel. So, and then by the way, what you mentioned earlier today, especially if Davis is out, I love the spot for Noel. I think it's a terrific spot for him. So that's a game you could stack and then see if we don't know about Davis. And by the way, if Davis plays, what you could do is try to use Davis in a spot where you can swap him over to Westbrook, but you'll have plenty of other swaps because you'll have guys in the later games. With the Denver side of things, Jokic is going to be one of the highest owned players if he's playing, but can he really be if we don't know if he's playing or not? I don't know. So I'm siding with Monty Morris and Will Barton. I will play a healthy share of both of them in hope. And if it doesn't work out and Jokic plays, I still like Barton, by the way, a little bit as a long shot play, but I will switch that Barton ownership over to the 7,200 of if there's no Luka, then you switch him over for Jalen Brunson. See what I'm saying? So that would mean that one of those guys has to be out. If you don't have any news, I think you're okay taking that gamble with Barton because I think he can put up a game. I think he can put up 40 anyway in this spot. Or you could switch him over if you left enough money on the table to the other side of that game and play CJ McCollum, who's going to be pretty popular. But that's what you do with that. And I do really like Lillard in this matchup. I also think, again, if Jokic plays, I'm going to be all over Nurkic.
I think that's really sharp. I like that.
Yeah, and if Jokic doesn't play, I'm not going to be playing Nurkic.
Yeah, I think I like that. There's a tweet I put up on my screen share. It said Frank Vogel won't disclose tonight's starting lineup. He said the lineup will obviously depend on Anthony Davis's availability. Well, gee, thanks.
Yeah, that's I don't know what to do with that one.
I have nothing for that one at all.
Yeah, so getting some interesting questions. Christian Rodriguez asked, "Am I looking at Saddiq Bey?" It's a great example of where I would be all over Saddiq Bey if he was playing in the 10 p.m. games, and I'm not going to have much of him because he's going to be popular and he's in the first game of the night on a slate that I feel like is highly volatile. So I do like Saddiq Bey here. I don't think I'm going to be playing much of him. I just think that it's actually a game starting time because I feel that extra news is too valuable. That's what I look at. And K9 Bronco says Westbrook on FanDuel and run it back with Randall. Absolutely. That's where you should. I don't want to say you should start there on FanDuel because there's a lot of good point guard pricing. I like Reggie Jackson. I like Damian Lillard's price. I love Paul George at 9,200. I mean, you can use him at shooting guard or small forward. Brunson will become an obvious play if in fact we have no Luka. But I think Westbrook and Lillard give you the maximum upside, and I think running it back with Randall is a perfectly good call. And it makes I think that I don't know if I'll have a lineup on. In fact, no, I'll say it right now. I don't think I'll have a lineup on FanDuel that doesn't have Julius Randle in it on FanDuel. By the way, Derrick Rose being out is a huge bump to Julius Randle. It's a usage monster that plays half the game who's not going to be there, and Julius Randle could easily end up in one of those 40-ish minute games against his former team. I like I like Randle on DraftKings, so obviously I like him on FanDuel.
I'll tell you what else. Taj Gibson being out is a big bump to Randle as well.
I totally agree with that as well. Noel is out there to play defense, get rebounds, and Taj Gibson will actually shoot the ball sometimes and gives them just an extra body. They can play some Gibson Noel minutes, and those extra 3 to 5 minutes may not seem like much, but I'll tell you what, if there were 3 to 5 minutes longer of the Sacramento game last night, I would have won all the money. So 3 to 5 minutes can make a huge difference. Okay.
I'll tell you, the more I'm thinking about this whole thing, the more I'm thinking of, that guy who allegedly locked in Flacco or whatever it was.
He didn't do all that. It was a miss thing. He only played like 10 lineups.
Yeah, but you're getting in the way of a good story.
Sorry.
With the truth or something like that. I mean, you know better than to do that. But like, why don't I just lock in like Carmelo and just be done with it? He's just gonna freaking smash. He's just going to.
Well, he's certainly gonna try to.
Okay.
And isn't that good enough? I think.
Yeah, it's good enough for me, right?
If you told me Carmelo's taking, and I expect him to take 15 plus shots, so I really like him, and people aren't playing him. The problem is once Davis is out,
they'll play him. No.
Once Davis is out, maybe they'll play him.
Yeah.
But if Davis is not out, they won't play him. He's not 3K, you know what I mean? He's 54.
What is he, 5,000?
54.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the call. I'm into it. So I'm just sort of playing devil's advocate. We still don't know. So Marcus Morris is the guy who just came back, and the Clippers are they have more bodies available and projected to play tonight than they've had in so long. I can't quite figure out why Zubac's projections are so high and why his ownership is so high. Someone's going to have to explain this to me because there's no reason that Zubac's numbers should be so much better tonight. It's a 4-game slate. I get that. And I'm fine with him as a placeholder, but I don't think we need to play Zubac. I do like Reggie Jackson. I love Paul George. I think Terrence Mann, the problem is they just it's like the sites aren't accounting for these other guys all being there. And maybe there's something that somebody knows that I don't, but as of right now, the Clippers look to have more of their healthy bodies than they've had all year. With basically everybody except for Kawhi. We also have Reggie Bullock questionable, which is a huge, huge, huge deal because Reggie Bullock, even if Luka plays, is going to play 25 minutes ish.
Oh, the Trey Burke thing you're saying, huh?
So yeah, but if you could know Luka and know Reggie Bullock, Trey Burke is going to project to not play a minute tonight is the super long shot hero play. And the more realistic, more feasible things are just that DFS, Maxi Kleba, and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Brunson are all going to be great plays if Luka's out, obviously. But even if Luka's in, Jalen Brunson and Tim Hardaway Jr. would still be viable more so with Reggie Bullock out because he eats up some of those minutes. And they might, instead of playing 30 minutes or 33 minutes or whatever they're going to play, they might play 38 to 40 minutes.
All right. So I just want to let everybody know that I just did I'm pushing an update on the projections, assuming with the Knicks news or whatever. So now that I've done that, now they can go ahead and feel free to rule Anthony Davis out and ruin my work. So go do that now. Now they have permission to do all that.
Well, we're not going to hear about him until after lock because what their latest update certainly doesn't leave you anything inspiring. I think the best thing to do is to play Westbrook and just, it's not like Westbrook's not going to get there anyway or be close to there anyway. And it's really hard to fade THT tonight, in my opinion, guys. Really, really a tough fade. Just way too active. That's the only way Westbrook. But I like that game stack. I mean, you know what I mean? You play Quickly and Burks, or you play Burks and Kemba with Randall, and then run it back with Westbrook, THT, and Carmelo. That sounds pretty good to me, especially if Davis is out. That might be the nuts.
Then you don't worry. Then you hope that Jokic plays, and then nothing happens.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly right.
Hope Jokic plays and busts.
Well, yeah, Jokic plays and he puts up 50, 55 even. Put up 60 even if you're Jokic. That's fine. At his ownership, people are going to play him over Westbrook anyway. Westbrook can put up higher score than that. Even if Westbrook puts up basically the same score, you're crushing because you got different in a different place. And that's what I would recommend doing. I do like Larry Nance as late night value, but again, I'm looking at all this late night stuff as placeholder stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you don't need to make your lineup. And last night we had some people in Discord. Mostly our Discord is freaking awesome, but we had people in Discord complaining, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! I had Curry in all my lineups. How come the NBA can't let us know?" And I'm like, "Well, Curry was announced out before we popped. I wrote the news in Discord to people. If you guys want, it might be annoying, but anytime someone's announced out that I see it, I can announce at everyone. But I am posting when guys are out in our Discord, and I did send Sheets a personal text because I have his phone number. I don't have everybody's phone number, so I can't do that for everybody. But anyway, it's just something worth considering. The other weird play that's going to be a later one that I'm considering maybe over some of this early stuff is Campazzo. I like Campazzo in this matchup. I think that with a team that doesn't play defense, that he can sort of create and do things on because you're not going to have any guards pressuring you. I think Campazzo at 3,300 is a really interesting pivot off of the early chalk from the Knicks and from the Knicks situation and from Detroit situation. So Campazzo would be a guy who I would put. He's behind Corey Joseph for me, but should he really be as much behind as the projections have him? In fact, you've got a difference in projection of like 3 fantasy points for 3,300 and 3,900. He's 600 cheaper. And his ownership will be literally 1/10 of these other guys, if not 1/15. So why can't Campazzo outscore Corey Joseph on a given day?
Yeah.
He just put up 30 the other day, and if there's no Jokic, it's just more minutes and more usage to go around for everybody. And Monty Morris becomes an absolute smash play as well. I wouldn't play Campazzo and Morris together, but I would have one of them. If I knew right now that Jokic was out, I probably would have one of those guys in most of my lineups, and I would have Will Barton along with them.
All right,
see if there's any questions popping in there.
I'm getting a lot of these new runs as Quickly.
Yeah. I think that Jeff Green is the thinnest of the values of the late ones, but he's a value too. It's really easy for Jeff Green to bust when he plays a lot of minutes. Now he's going to play minutes, but he can bust. I mean, we just saw it the other day. He played 23 minutes the other night and he had 1 fantasy point. Okay.
Right.
In 23 minutes. It's like hard. Literally, I could go out there and I probably would outdo that most of the time just by accident. I'm going to get a couple of rebounds. You know what I mean? I might accidentally pass the ball to somebody who makes a shot. But I like the JaMychal Green play better. He's actually looks more volatile if you look at the game logs, but it's really the minutes with him. If he's going to play 25 plus minutes, which I would imagine he would play right around there, or maybe a little higher against Portland, and I think he'd be a really, really good play. I would have him rated ahead of Jeff Green, if no Jokic, personally.
Do we have any news on PJ Tucker?
So PJ Tucker right now I have projected to play, but again, we're going to hopefully know that before lock, and we should know any minute. If PJ Tucker is out, what does that mean to us? Okay. I think it means Caleb Martin, oddly enough, is somewhat viable. That's basically all I can come up with. It hurts every other player on their team offensively because PJ Tucker is so low usage. All he's going to do is, be out there and get rebounds and stuff. I guess some rebounding upside maybe for Bam is the best way if you want to twist it. But I would just look at it as a minutes thing and think that Caleb Martin would probably get a good bulk of those minutes. If not Caleb Martin, it would be Max Strus. And I just am not going to play Max Strus in the early game on this slate. It's fine. It's just not what I'm going to do. It's not my style.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah. DFS Wolfpack has a very bold call. Melo 7 for 12 beyond the arc. I'll do you one better, DFS Wolfpack. If Melo is 7 for 12 behind the 3-point line, he's going to be 7 for 18 because if he's that hot, he's not stopping.
Right. Yeah.
He'll keep going. And I'm getting more and more into this Melo idea. I currently have Melo in 30% of my lineups on DraftKings, and I actually might be upping that. I have weird guys like Dwight Powell as placeholders right now. Those are in my only two guys from the early games type of stacks. I don't think Dwight Powell's a particularly strong play. I'm just throwing names out there if you want to use a value filler that fits with the late games and try and adjust accordingly. I think it's a pretty good idea. Make sure to get your guys in the right positions tonight. I know we try and say this every night. That's one very, very big piece of advice so you can have switchability later and you don't just have to automatically make the 1v1 swap. And that's a really smart thing to do. And I'm going to say right now, I think Will Barton is the other guy you want to try to look. Even if Jokic plays, I think Barton has a good chance at getting there. If Jokic doesn't play in this matchup, boy, I mean, let's go. And by the way, just for what it's worth, Vegas doesn't expect Davis to play because that game went from a 3.5 spread to when I woke up, a 4-point spread when me and Sheets did our show earlier today, and now it's up to 7 points. So that's a sign of them expecting Davis not to play. There's nothing else that's happened today that would. In fact, they had Derrick Rose ruled out, and they still went up to 7 points. So that's a sign that if you're going to speculate, they're speculating Davis doesn't play. I have this really weird, sneaky suspicion that we would have known by now if Davis wasn't playing. That's the only thing that worries me. Whatever. Do with that information what you will. I still think I think it's close to 50-50. I think he's legitimately questionable. I don't think this is like we're going to see, we're going to wait as long as we can to announce whether he's in. I think they're really trying to see if he can play. Anyway, that's a bunch of spouting out stuff. I'm probably going to go to build my lineups. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot else for you guys because, like Sheet said, sadly, we're still waiting on information.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just being transparent. I'm going to lock Carmelo in.
I love it, man.
I'm just going to do it. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I haven't done all that great in the NBA the last couple of days. And I've been okay, but I just feel as it's been wearing on me a little bit, just how much time you have to put into it. And I just feel like doing this. And I literally have no reason for it. And you know what else I'm doing? to not worry about Jokic and Luka and Davis. I'm Xing all of them out. So there you go.
I love it. Take it. Just be going bold with it.
Just going to X all of them out.
Yep.
And you know what that's going to get me? It's probably going to get me a bunch of Lillard and a bunch of, you know what I mean? But that's fine by me.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I like where your head's at.
And we're in, and we're out. Okay. The guys that I'm playing are playing. How about that? That's something to look at. That is on DraftKings. On FanDuel, All right, I'll tell you what. I won't lock him in on FanDuel, just on principle.
What's his price over there?
I don't even know. He's probably cheaper.
I actually didn't take a double check, but I'm about to. I haven't built that lineup yet. I'm still waiting to wait to see what happens with the slate.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
By the way, all this craziness and all the wearing and everything like that. This is why I do well in these slates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna
because
grind
you can outgrind people as far as the work ethic.
Yeah, and I have a better sense of what might happen if XYZ happens than I think most people do, and that's what we try to do. So we're trying to come up with those things.
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway Jr. versus Horton Tucker. It's way by a long shot Horton Tucker, but we don't know if Luka's in or not. So if we know Luka's in, I still think THT has just as good of a shot, but we don't know about Davis either. So that's a really I would just go Horton Tucker. But I have both of them in many lineups together. So it's, for me, that's where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm locking in on. Well, I'm not gonna lie, so I'm not locking in. I'm only playing 95% of him. I'm only playing 95% of Randall and 85% of Paul George.
Love it, love all of it. That's what's gonna happen if you X out those other guys.
Yep.
But you're not playing any Westbrook, and I think that might be a mistake. It sounds like
Westbrook. I didn't say I'm Xing out Westbrook.
No, it just sounds like if you're playing those guys, you can't have that much Westbrook or Lillard.
Yeah, I guess not on FanDuel.
Yeah, I like the Lillard, George, Westbrook.
Leave him at 10 minutes.
Those are the guys I'm using.
Yeah, maybe that's a good. Maybe I should get some Westbrook then home to see.
Well, I have to scour the internet to try to find everything I can. I will be in Discord, guys, but I'm going to try and finish my lineups and be scouring the internet every which way.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm going to do. Actually, I'm gonna do minimum of 50% of Westbrook on FanDuel. Now, I'll obviously have left to these other guys. You can just hang in there with for a minute because I do want to be transparent what I'm doing here. So I'm going to play Westbrook, 50% of him, and I'm Xing out those other turkeys. And you know what else? You know what? I still have 95% Randall and 65% George. So
right, gotcha. Duncan Robinson and PJ Tucker are in, by the way. So
okay,
less interested in any Miami nonsense.
And you know what? That's good. I'm kind of sick of playing the Miami nonsense.
Yep. Only guys I really want are on the Detroit side in that game, and that feels bad too because they're playing against the best or second best defense in the NBA.
All right, so let me just change these.
By the way, I looked at my bets while you're doing that. I looked at my bets from last night. Sheep 7 for 7, including.
Dude, do you know that is a very good edge score.
Wait, do you know what's crazy about it? Do you know what one of the bets was? And my only NFL prop bet was listed.
What?
Ronald Jones to score a touchdown.
What?
11-1, 11.5-1. Not bad.
Did you bet that or no?
No, I didn't. No, because I can't bet easily here. I have to go through the whole thing. So I'm waiting for DraftKings to come with it. But you could have put a parlay on that. That thing would be paid at what would it pay? I don't know, $5,000.
Dude, I'm telling you, you got to get on this Prize Picks thing. It's a lot of fun, and you could get some. Look, they rip you off a little bit on the vig, which is fine because they lock these prices in, pretty much. And you could search around all the different sports and whatever you want to do, and first half quarterback with second half wide receivers and stuff. With how much you know about the actual game, you know what I mean? Like you could probably make a few $100 a week on it or something. It's something.
I'm sure I could. I'll get into it. I need to. You're right. I need to spend a little more time.
I love it. I mean, it's definitely not the most user friendly site, but you get it makes you think about your DFS plays a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at Ryan Berkeley in chat over there. Had Rojo parlayed with Evans touchdown. That's pretty sweet, buddy. That's a nice little payout right there.
Like that.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody tonight. Sheets, have a great night. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, and I will be in Discord if you guys need anything. Good luck, everybody.
Sounds good. Good luck, everybody.